Sup, bros? Welcome to Gun. I'm sorry, I can't do that. It's this hat. I love my Ruger products, but this hat is just so ridiculous. I can't wear it. Okay, so on today's special episode of Gun Nuts Media, we are going to attempt, and I say attempt for a good reason, to install a Wilson Combat custom-tuned spring kit in a Ruger GP100. For those of you that follow the blog, I'm shooting the Ruger GP100 in the upcoming IDPA Nationals in September, and I want to do some customization to it. Obviously, I'm going to have some more work done to it by an actual gunsmith, but there are instructions online on how to install this custom-tuned spring kit in it on a website that is realguns.com, and then there's a really complicated URL, but realguns.com has a pretty good breakdown on how to install this. Now, normally what I would do is I would break this video up into segments and shoot, segment 1, segment 2. But because I'm feeling adventurous today, I'm going to shoot this as one continuous take. Now that doesn't mean I'm not going to edit it, because I will probably say the F word somewhere when I'm trying to put parts in this gun, or my stupid cat will probably jump up here and try to help me film this video. Something fun and entertaining may happen. So, but without further ado, let's go into a little bit of the details. So we have two spring kits that are available for the GP100. The first is the Brownell spring kit, which uses springs made by Wolf. And I have no reason to believe it's not awesome, because I've used several Brownell/Wolf spring kits before in different revolvers. I've never used a Wilson Combat spring kit, so I got this from Brownell's, and I decided I'm going to use this one today. We will follow all of the... I do want to note with some disappointment that it does not come in a little blue bag, which kind of makes me sad. Old-time gun people will get that joke. So we're going to follow the directions on the realguns.com website. So, step 1. Ding! Make sure your gun is unloaded. Do not do this by pointing it at something and pulling the trigger. Instead, what you want to do is press the button right here, push the cylinder out, and then look in the charge holes and make sure that there aren't any cartridges in there. Maybe even press the extractor rod a little bit, whatever. Or you could just wave it around like an idiot and muzzle yourself and everyone else and the cat and all the other people in your house. Okay, so step 1, gun's unloaded. Now that I know I'm working with an unloaded gun, I will proceed to step 2, which is remove the grips. Okay, so I am using my trusty Leatherman to do this because I happen to have it sitting around, and it actually has the appropriate size screwdriver heads for all of this. You may have some gunsmithing tools that you want to use, or you may not. One thing that I do recommend you get is, and let me get this screw out. Holy cow, that is a long screw. Look at that. That is long. Okay. So now, the Hogue grips are off. Set those down. And you can see the guts of the gun, as it were. Now we need to take this little doohickey off, which is actually pretty easy because it's made out of relatively, I said it was easy. I'm a liar. No, come here. Damn it, you piece of... Got it. And then this little doohickey just falls right out. Okay, so the gun now has the grips off. Now for this next bit, what you're going to need is a punch. I have these Brownell, it's called the Brownell's Magnetip, and it's a set of punches that comes with a little magnetic screwdriver handle thing here. It's really handy. I've used the punches on Lord knows everything. So, and even actually, it's funny, in the illustration on the website, it even looks like a Brownell's punch is what's being used to hold this thing in place. So, the next thing we are going to do is, after taking the grips off, is going to check for empty ammo removed from the work area, blah, blah, blah. Here we go. Alright, so, step 2. The GP100's hammer is cocked, like yay. And what you can see now is there's a little hole that this punch fits right through. Now what this does, this is called the hammer strut seat. And this is what I was talking about with the cat jumping up here to help me. Hang on 1 second while I deal with that situation. Kids, this is why you don't film YouTube videos from your apartment. Okay. So, the pin goes through the hammer strut seat, which now immobilizes this bad boy. And now the trigger is pulled and the hammer is manually lowered. So you want to do this, there's a lot of different ways to do this, but you need to do this without dislodging your pin. So that's actually going to be, wait, aha, I'm smarter than the average bear. So, now the hammer is pushed forward, and, wait, I think I screwed that up. Well, something's not connected in there anymore. Okay. The gun's trigger is pulled and the hammer is lowered. The hammer pivot and hammer are removed. Okay. So, what's the hammer pivot? Aha! That would be the hammer pivot. And that's out now. Cool. Then, I should just be able to take the hammer out. No. The hammer is still connected to some things. Alright, so we're going to try pulling it again, leaving the trigger pressed to the rear. No, that's not working. Okay. Well, it said that I should be able to remove the hammer now, but I don't exactly see how that's supposed... Wait. Skipped a step. There's a pin right here I have to drive out. Like that. So, what you can't see, and now what you can see, is right here, this pin on the side of the Ruger needs to come out. And if you just push on it, you can actually just, well, I lied. Alright, I'm going to use my screwdriver. Don't use screwdrivers as pry tools, kids. That's bad. Hang on, I got to kill the cat again. God, I hate that cat. Alright, so now I've pulled this pin out of the gun, which means the hammer is still connected to something, and it doesn't want to come out. I think I screwed that up. Right, hang on. We're going to try putting the pin back in. Maybe. Line up. The hole is your home. Are you too good for your home? I hate putting guns back together. Alright, in theory, this thing's all lined up right now, but apparently it's not. And brute force is not solving my problem. Oh, for Pete's sakes. Kids, this is why you should have a gunsmith. Like, just hire one. If you ever want to get into the shooting sports, just like, don't try to be your own gunsmith. Just take your stuff to a competent... There we go. Okay. So I put the pin back in. Alright, now. We're going to try... So wait a minute. Hammer cocked. Got it. Compressed. The hammer pivot and hammer are removed. Okay, so... What? This is not helping. Alright, so now the gun's cocked again. And then I lower it like that. And... Okay, in the picture, the trigger is forward. But that's got the shit in it. I need another picture. I'm not that smart. Alright, we're going to try cocking it again. Doing that. Now pushing this out while we hold the trigger to the rear. See what happens. Will science happen? Who knows? All I know is I need 3 freaking hands right about now to do this. Okay, so I'm still holding the trigger to the rear. And yes, I needed to hold the trigger to the rear to take the hammer out. Okay, now the hammer is out. I'm going to let it go forward. Alright, so now this gun is completely just effing useless because I can't, there's no hammer. Alright, so now it says, using a pin pusher apex bit, the trigger guard latch is depressed and the trigger guard assembly is removed. A single pin is pressed out while maintaining thumb pressure on the latch. Then the trigger guard latch and latch spring are eased out. The latch spring is also the trigger return spring, so it influences trigger pull. What? Okay, there's a hole here. There's a pin punch here. Here's a problem. My pin is currently in this thing. Now I know that if I take this thing out of here, it's going to shoot this spring clear across the freaking room. But I gotta do it, because eventually I'm gonna need to take that spring off anyway. So, there we go. Alright, so I skipped a step. This is the hammer spring. This is eventually one of the parts that I'm going to replace. I kind of skipped a step and took that apart early because I need my punch. Alright. Boom. Back in my Brownells thing. And I have no idea. These pictures are completely useless. So, there's a hole right back here. Not pointed at me. With that, I'm going to stick my punch through like this. And I'm going to press this thing in here, I hope, and that will release the trigger guard. Now, to do that, I'm going to have to switch hands because I have the misfortune of being born left-handed. And try it like this. Is this it? Is this what I need to push on? I don't know, Brownells. Okay, I pushed and nothing happened. Let's try... No. This is really annoying. Yeah, it was under a lot of pressure. Okay, now that's pushed in, and this should... Nope. Well, this should come out now, but it's not. Maybe I needed to push that in farther. Okay, we're going to try that again. Alright, so this is under a ton of pressure. Alright, so now it's pushed in really, really hard. Alright, and I should now be able to just push... Oh my god! So, that came out with a considerable amount of authority, because all of these little springy bits just like launched. Wow. That was impressive. Hang on, I'm gonna make sure I'm not losing any, I didn't lose any pieces out of my gun. Okay, so I just launched the trigger housing across there. Okay, it's good, there's nothing on the deck. It's close. Alright, so now I have this thing, which looks like this, and this thing, which looks like that, and this is the trigger housing of a Ruger GP100. Cool. And then there is a really small pin in there that I have to take out. Okay. I don't know if I have a punch that small. Right. While maintaining thumb pressure on the latch. Which one of these is the freaking latch? Okay, so what I'm supposed to do is... Oh, and by the way, if I wanted to take the cylinder out right now, it would just, like, come out. I think. Yep. So, just for the record, this is now completely just stripped down to the bare bones. While this is, in every legal sense, a firearm because there's a serial number on it, this is your bare bones stripped down Glock. Or, Glock. This is your bare bones stripped down Ruger. I'm an idiot. Alright, so, put that aside. Here's the cylinder assembly. This is kind of cool. If you ever need to... If I needed this, say, cut for moon clips, this is what I would send in to the guys at TK Custom. I'm not going to mess around with that right now either. Alright, so now I have this little itty-bitty thing I have the trigger group, and there's an itty bitty pin in here that needs to come out. Right. That punch is too large. Stand by. We're back. We're going to try this again. I don't know. We're going to try using a ballpoint pen, which worked pretty well. I mean, it got it most of the way through, but now the problem is the pen's too big, and I still need to push it the rest of the way out of there. So let's try one of these itty bitty Allen wrenches that anyone who's been a gun nut for an extended period of time probably has a mess of sitting around their house. And it's the perfect size. So, pushing, and out goes that pin. And then I take my punch out, and then this little guy just comes right out the back like that. And that's it. I feel like another piece should have come out of there, but I don't know what. Alright, this realguns.com thing is the worst. Maintaining thumb pressure on the latch, then the trigger guard latch and latch spring are eased out. Well, yeah, the latch came out just fine. But, oh, there's the latch spring. It was kind of like buried in there. Weird. Okay. So now all of the bits are out. So here's the trigger guard latch spring. Here's the trigger guard latch, this little itty bitty part. And there's a little tiny pin here that you can't see. So that's all sorted now. Okay, next. In addition to blah blah blah. Okay, I skipped the step where I disassembled the hammer strut mainspring. All right, so I took this little guy apart, and I don't remember how it goes back together now. Crap. Anyway, no, maybe. So anyway, I took this little guy apart. That's just so not right. And this is the hammer strut mainspring, so I took that off. And I'll figure out how to put that back together in a minute. Alright, now this then has some boring stuff about checking spring weights. I don't have a thingy to do that, so what we're going to do here is we are going to put the lightest springs in the gun possible. Why am I going to do that? Because I can. I'm going to do this because if I put the lightest spring weights in here that I can get, and I don't get reliable ignition with those spring weights, then I will just move up to the next combination. I'm actually not going to go as light as possible. So the Wilson Combat Kit comes with 3 springs for the mainspring. You have a 9-pounder, a 10-pounder, and a 12-pounder. I believe Ruger states that their factory spring is rated at 14 pounds. So I'm going to put the 10-pound mainspring in here. And I'm going to put that with the 8-pound trigger return spring and see if that makes a difference in how all of this works. Okay. Alright, now I gotta skip back up to the top of this. Alright, so if you're using this Real Guns thing, don't, it's terrible. I was not able to make heads or tails of this. And honestly, the reason I was able to successfully accomplish this is because I'm semi-functional adult male that is not a complete idiot. I hate that cat so much. I wonder which way this goes. Sorry, now I'm like playing with toys. Does it go like that? Or like this? That's a good question. So, here's an interesting facet of the Ruger revolver. The hammer strut, this thing, is not the same if you turn it in either direction. And I don't remember which way it was facing when I took it out of the gun. So that's going to be interesting. But anyway, back to science. So first things first, get my 8-pound trigger return spring out of the bag. And for that, we will once again use our handy dandy Leatherman tool. Because it has a knife on it. Dun, 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 dun. Not a very sharp knife. I should probably take better care of that. Okay, so we are going to do this process in, oh my god. We're going to do this process exactly in the reverse of how we first set it up. So, I'm going to install the trigger return spring. Like that. Then I'm going to install this frickin' thing. Like that. Well, sort of like that. Just go in there. And then I'm going to put this itty bitty little pin in here. Assuming that I don't launch this frickin' thing across the room first. Alright. The itty bitty pin is in. And I will now press it flush. Alright, itty bitty pin is in and flush with the gun. Whew. Can you believe that's only step 1 of all of this mess? Alright, so now we're going to get this guy and we're going to put our cylinder back in. I just took that out for giggles because I'm an idiot. Oh boy. Wait, oh, whew. A little worried there for a second that I had like broken it. Like that. Why won't that go back in? That's a good question, Caleb. Why won't that go back in? Just because I wasn't using enough force. Alright, brute force. If you're not using enough, use more. Okay, now I have to put this back in here. So that's, I don't know how this goes back in there. This is hard. Like, this is like actually doing things. Things that I am not really... Maybe if I wasn't holding it like a freaking moron, this would work better. Alright, so we are now going to ease this. No, that's not working. Wait a cotton picking minute. I am not so smart. Almost got it. Oh yeah, it's going in. It is going in. That's what she said joke, thank you. I need a thingy to depress the thingy. And then push. Hey, look at that! I mended it. Cool. And now the cylinder locks up because the hand is in there again. Sweet. Now we come to the hard part. Because I really don't remember how that thing went back together. Alright, so wait a minute. Alright, so now that that's out, I need to put the hammer back in. And to do that, I have to hold the trigger to the rear. Put the hammer back in there like yay. And then while holding the trigger to the rear, which is not nearly as easy as it looks, I also have to push this little pin in. Right. What could go wrong? Wait, oh, I got it. Nailed it! Okay, hammer's in. Now, I need to get the spring, the 10-pound mainspring, out of here. Gonna move that over. Gonna cut this open. I will actually upload a version of this YouTube video that is just the information as well, because I understand that most folks probably don't want to listen to me ramble. Ramble on. Alright, so this is going to go on top of this, and this is going to go... God, I really wish I knew which way this thing went. Is it like this, or is it like this? These pictures really are just bloody worthless. But I have a Ruger manual. So, that's how you want to put it in the gun. We're going to do that now. Put it in the gun. Yeah. Ah. I just cracked my knee and it hurt really bad. Don't get old, kids. It sucks. Where's my thingy? Alright. Now to do this, because I'm an idiot, I took my pin out of here. Next time, mental note, have another pin punch with me, because this is actually really going to be kind of challenging now, because I am doing this basically the hardest way possible. A glove would be awesome right now, but again, idiots, so you know. I'm going to get a glove. Wait a minute. I just had the best idea. So, I compress the spring. I stick the thing through there. Oh, I almost had it. Okay, that's actually a winning idea. Holy. Let's try that again. Also, ow, my knee really hurts getting old blows. Okay, so, first order of business, figure out how this thing goes. Alright, so it goes like this, and then that goes like that, and then it goes in the gun. Right. So, first, we put the spring on. We compress the spring and stick the pin through so that I can then rest this on top of the pin. Now, I gird up my loins because I'm going to need some finger strength for this. And I once again compress the string. I got it part way. I got it almost through. Go in. We're almost there. If you can't really see this, but it is halfway through the hole right now. And if I just that's going to shoot into my chest. Also phrasing. However, if I use this to push this down, wow, that was really close. So seriously, like 7 hands are what's required for this. Ah, holy shitballs. That was a lot of work. just to do this. Now I have to put it back in the gun. Wish me luck. So this goes in there. And then I can pull, we're gonna pull the hammer back, and somewhere in there, no, it's got, okay, I think it needs to be down a little bit to catch. It's not catching the mainspring right now. Okay. Man, if I put that on there backwards, I'm gonna be wicked pissed. Alright, let's try this. What if we pull the trigger? We might have to have the trigger pulled to do this, so hang on one second. Or maybe that is as far as it needs to go. Okay, so with the trigger pulled, that probably wasn't good for it. Alright, with the trigger pulled and the hammer now held to the rear, we will attempt to insert this piece, which apparently goes right in there. Ow. Yeah. Yeah, that's where it goes. So, we pull that till it locks up, pull the pin out, holy crap. And now in theory, the revolver won't fire. And I don't know why. So right now the trigger is not going all the way. I can't cock it, so I fucked something up. And I have no idea what. Damn it. I mean, everything appears to be interacting just fine, except for that one little part. Because there's something blocking the engagement of the bits inside the gun right now. I'm going to turn my camera off and say many curse words. So while I was off camera, all of the bits that were not aligned and were not working started working, and I don't know what happened. So it's all done. I'm going to put it back together now. This is the easy part. Lord knows I'll probably find some way to F this up, though. No, I'm not going to F it up. I'm just going to make it way harder than it needs to be. Kind of like this whole project. Although, in a way, for Pete's sakes, there we go. In a way, I feel sort of like Top Gear right now. Ambitious, but rubbish. Now just get that last screw put in there. Tighten it up. Now what's interesting is I did a couple of dry fire trigger pulls here a bit ago to see if the trigger felt any different, and it honestly doesn't feel any different. Before I put the new trigger kit in, before I put the new springs in, the trigger pull, you know, it's off the scale on my little crappy spring trigger pull gauge. The single action pull was around 4.5 pounds. So the first thing we're going to do, check it. It's still unloaded. Now we're going to try the single action pull. Comes in about 4 pounds now. And then in double action, it feels, well, Actually feels a little bit lighter when I think about it. I may have some trouble because I made the trigger return spring so light. I actually got ahead of the reset a couple of times when I was doing that, but this definitely feels better now than it did before. So I'm going to go edit this god-awful mess of a video into something that's like even a little bit remotely watchable, and then hopefully you guys will enjoy it. Thank you.